For the at first period, the degree of the pay differences among men and female in the UK has been vulnerable. More than rather than 10,000 big firms include stipulated detailed information of their sort pay space, in 3/4 of them profitable men more than rather than female. But separately of how title reality, the statistic include a riches of some data. So which did we find out? If you are a female work at a big UK company, the largest potential work at a business that pays men more than rather than female, on ordinary. Fair 14% of the firms how informed had a pay gap in favor of female. Almost 8 in 10 firms, 78%, include a pay gap in favor of men, 8% of companies informed no pay gap at all. The is relying on the middle pay space. If you link up all the men and female work at a business in two individual channel in procedure of wages, the middle pay gap will be the distinction in wages among the female in the medium of her link and the man in the medium of its. The sort pay gap doesn't speak us if female are creature pay less than rather than men for the identical job, that has been versus the law with the Equivalent Pay Act was entered in 1970. Yet, it does offer us a action of the differences in men and females' work patterns, various occupations, portion time roles creature mainly woman, and the absence of female in elder roles. Men are above represented in companies' top paid jobs, the ratio of female waterfall the future up the pay scope you go. Get the airline company production, flying are nearly solely men, female mainly job as cockpit team. Airlines EasyJet, Thomson and all include pay gaps of at low 45%. Ryanair show a 71.8% pay gap the 1 week, the greatest in the airline company production by several range and one of the maximally wide through all sectors. Fair 8 of Ryanair's 554 very paid flying are female, more than rather than couple thirds of the reduced paid cockpit team is woman. Financial firms include informed the largest drop in female among the minimum paid and the upper paid workers. JP Morgan has the largest pay gap amongst main banks, 54%. Less rather than 1 in 10 employees in the banking's highest paid team are female. Several include criticized the pay gap action as wet, equity campaigning team. The Fawcett community says it is in prospect for employees to say on pay in wages figures, firms include been required to reveal the differences in bonuses pay to men and to female. The financial segment has the largest benefit space, in female pay 35% less than rather than men on ordinary. In some speech, segment-wide, for each £1 of benefit cash pay to men work in financial, their woman associate will get household fare 65p. Some sectors as well accountability big benefit gaps, yet, down there are enormous differences among sectors. Building and financial firms informed the maximally wide pay gaps. Fair 44 of the 743 firms how include informed in these sectors pay female more than rather than they pay men. Maybe more than amazingly, the formation segment as well accountable a top pay gap of 20%. Almost 40 of the 100 companies in the largest pay gap are schools or academia trusts. All of them informed middle pay gaps of at low 50%, importance men were paid 2 times as lot as female on ordinary. Companies were scrambled to get their accountable in front of the stroke of midnight last date on April 4, in part of firms' accountability in the 1-week guideline up to the last date. Several 1,500 informed their pay gap figures in the recent day one. In reality, more than companies informed in the recent day up the last date rather than in the at first 330 days of the facility fleeing. More than rather than 1,500 companies unsuccessful to paper in period, on to the Equalities and Humane Rights Committee, EHRC. All companies, charities and social segment bodies in more than rather than 250 employees are required to paper their sort pay gap figures. The EHRC is studying 1,557 firms how skipped the last date, to see if they drop in the class. Firms how failure to perform could person an unrestricted penalty. Meantime, 238 companies in less rather than 250 employees didn't requirement to folder their pay gap figures, but did so willingly in any case. Wish to discover out the sort pay gap at yours business? Try the calc under. Disappointed, yours web browser does not supporting the search.